Welcome to Riding the Trauma Train, or welcome back if we've shared this space before. I'm Lydia, your host and fellow passenger in this journey of self-healing, inner strength and personal growth. This podcast is a safe, judgment-free space dedicated to the realities of living with and healing from trauma. Through personal stories and in-depth conversations with special guests, including therapists, healers, practitioners, and fellow survivors, we look at what healing can truly look like in everyday life. We explore realistic healing journeys and share simple, sustainable practices and actionable tools to support your well-being along the way. So grab your ticket, take a seat, and remember, you are not on this journey alone. Today, we are joined by the lovely Steph, who is a trauma recovery coach specializing in helping women from domestic abuse situations following their exit, I suppose. So, Steph, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me
Hi,
today.
thank you.
Delve in a little bit deeper to what I just
Mhm.
said, the fact that you're a domestic abuse trauma recovery coach, but this is when people have left that situation.
That's correct, yes. So obviously, just post the relationship, there's still a lot of crisis. And I found with working with women in that situation that the last thing they want to think about is too far in the future. So I realised that there was a place for women that perhaps maybe a year down the road, 2 years down the road, where they'd got on with their life or tried to. They've got the job that they just kind of get up every day and go to. They're trying, they've got the children. And it's really them not putting themselves first. It's that I thought of this yesterday about it's just your beige life at the end of the day. It's admin, life admin, where you're just getting up in the morning, just automated, going through the motions. And actually, I truly believe that every single woman after domestic abusive relationships deserve the best life they can possibly lead. And I feel that that's not always something that they consider they're able to do. So that's my sort of niche now.
Okay, amazing. I've seen, obviously you're on TikTok, that's how we met. I love a
Yes.
TikTok meeting. And you say within that, like the messy middle. So
Yes.
obviously it's for somebody to have left a
Mm.
domestic abuse
Hmm.
situation, that's taken a hell of a lot of guts, and that's taken probably the biggest bit of strength that they've had
Yeah.
to move on.
Yeah.
The messy middle, I think you've just said the beige life, I think that's a really good
Mm.
way to describe it, is they've gone from this really traumatic situation and there is light at the end of the tunnel,
Yeah.
but where do you go from the middle? Like
Exactly.
what is
Yeah.
that middle section? So can you tell us what it is that you do as a coach and how you help? I keep saying these people, but I'm guessing you work specifically with women
I do.
because I know
Yeah.
men have been through the same
Yes.
situation. So
Yeah.
I want to put it out to listeners that we're not
No, absolutely not.
like minimalizing.
No,
We're not
no,
saying anything about men not being it, but your coaching experience is to coach women.
it is. Yeah.
That is what we will talk about in this
Hmm.
situation. Obviously, there will be things that men that have been in that situation will be able to kind of take on.
Exactly. Yeah.
So sorry, I digress then. I just wanted to point out to everybody that
That's okay.
actually, because this is what you specialize in yourself,
Yeah.
is that that's what we're going to talk about. So
Hmm.
sorry, back on. So
That's
you
okay.
specialize in speaking and coaching women. So
Mm.
tell me about your coaching methods. How do people, what's like the first step in that situation?
Okay. So I'm certified in somatic trauma informed coaching, positive psychology, and I'm also a narcissist abuse specialist. So I work, obviously there's the talk therapy that you can have afterwards, but what I found and the reason why I did not heal after my situation was because my nervous system was all over the place. And and that was something that nobody told me about, that just, I never got anywhere just talking about it. And it wasn't until I started working on my nervous system, so working somatically, that I was able to regulate myself and be able to deal with the sort of unresolved traumas that I'd experienced. So what I do as a coach in the program that I've just created is a 3-phase program. So what I do right from the beginning is the nervous system work, because you can't help or you can't make those changes whilst your nervous system is up and down and you're in constant fight or flight, or you're in freeze where you just can't get out of bed. So we work on strategies that can help them sort of overcome those sorts of nervous system reactions. Then I'm into IFS informed, so I do a little bit of that and look at past generational traumas and things like that. So we delve into that. And then the last phase is where we really sort of start to nail down what do they actually want out of life, because I can assure you, it's impossible to feel like that, think about those things when you are just trying to get through the day, really. And, you know, I wouldn't be here now where I am doing what I'm doing now had I not been able to go through those different phases. And I thought, well, I've made huge progress and I needed to share that, and I needed to make sure that other women didn't have to just feel like that was their life now for the rest of their lives. You know, there's so much to experience out there, and they deserve
Absolutely.
a life. So, yeah.
Wow. From that, there's two things I want to ask. One,
Mm.
you said IFS.
Yeah.
So for those of us, I don't know what that is. So for any listeners, what does IFS stand for?
So I'm informed, which means I work with, so I'm not qualified in that, but it's internal family system. So in internally you have different parts, and it's so there's no bad parts, and you're made up of these various different parts, and it might be a people pleasing part, or different things that you can sort of work on those different parts and sort of build your internal family system to progress through the past traumas and things.
Okay. It's a little bit like inside out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Moving.
It is actually, yeah, no.
This is a deeply personal question. I would like to know what what was it that got you to the point where you're at now, where you have clearly have been through something that has got you to the
Hmm.
point where you've said, I've been through this, I've worked through this,
Mm.
you've come up with those three phases. Can you talk to us openly about
Hmm.
what it was that brought you to the coaching world and
Yeah.
your trauma, I suppose?
Yeah. So I was in a domestic abusive situation that would have been considered high risk now. It was, well, my daughter now is 20. So it was before I got pregnant with her, and, while I was pregnant with her. It was physical abuse, coercive control, narcissistic abuse. Not that that was anything that I realized until now. You just go through it. It ended because of a suspected domestic homicide, and there was restraining orders in place, and that was that sort of thing. So I continued with my life with a very young child, and I've got an older daughter as well, and went somehow through that time I managed to get a teaching degree. Um on my, being a single mum, and I went through life and I just kept pushing and adding more things to my plate, and I got my teaching job, which was great. Moved away from my hometown with my girls and got 2 horses and did a master's, and every single bit of my life was filled up, and I just went on and on and on and on. Clearly now looking back, in full of trauma, the just like I just everything that I did was trauma reactions, basically. I then went on holiday to Thailand. And when I came back, it was the start of the summer term, and I went into the classroom and had a breakdown, a full breakdown. And that meant that I was off work then for a year, and couldn't leave the house. I couldn't get out of bed. It was, the usual sort of thing. Moved home, basically lost everything. So I lost my career, lost where I was living, had to move back, massively in debt, just completely not knowing. I had nothing, basically. And then I met my now husband, actually. That's another story. Um, Obviously lockdown, everything else. And then I started working for a housing association supporting women that had fled high risk DA relationships in dispersed refuge. So I would be their support worker. I'd go in, help them through, when they've just left, and help them. Had 6 months to sort of get them back on their feet, as much as, well, you can't do that in 6 months, but that was our
I know what you
expectation.
mean.
Yeah, so that was a frustration there, but I absolutely loved it. I felt like it was literally what I was put on this earth to do, was to help these women through what they were going through. And then 2 years ago, I had an accident at work, and that meant that I was on and off. So for the last 2 years, I've been on and off I've now left, but they put me through a somatic trauma informed coaching certificate, which I'm also now doing the qualification, the level 7 qualification. And so whilst have been off in the last 2 years, I have retrained myself, basically, left the position in September, launched the business in October, and that's where I'm here. So yeah, I've obviously been building up my following on TikTok. That's been the best, I found that's really, the best place to be able to talk to people openly. I think that's a good platform
Surprisingly.
to do it. I know. And I think now I can see like my future and what I've been able to achieve just, in this time, being able to recover again from an accident. So I've built myself back up, and I've only been able to do that because of the things that I've learned getting through my domestic abuse relationship. So I think once you have those skills, you can use, lost my earphone. You can use it again, for other life situations.
Absolutely.
So
Well, what I find really interesting is one, the fact that you are made to be able to flee that situation and
mm.
then also be able to do your degree, look after your girls, do all those things. But taking a step back from somebody that is a trauma survivor, I'm like, yeah, she's got her little life play and she's going, oh yeah,
Yeah.
and that because that is what I do, and I
Mm.
still do that to this day.
Oh,
Ironically, that talking about life play, the life play term came from my old fitness coach called Emily Muir.
okay.
Shout out Emily. And I was talking to another lady today who has messaged me just saying how thankful she was for the TikToks. And but she's going through her own kind of not a crisis, but she's going through her own trauma kind of relapse
Right.
type thing. And she's not in a
Yeah.
position to listen to these podcasts yet. But I said to her about the life plate, and I went, oh my gosh, the life plate is you throw everything on, and you,
Yeah.
like you just said, looking back now that you were in fight or flight and you're just
100%.
filling everything up. But I think when you get that life plate and you are somebody, because we all have a life plate, don't we? We all,
Yeah.
there are things like this. There's kids, there's work, there's this, that, and the other. When you are
Yeah.
somebody that has a life, I'm laughing, but it's because I can envisage it. I'll get there, don't
Yeah.
worry. When you are somebody that has been through a trauma and you are on your recovery, you have this life plate, but it goes from ceramic to paper.
Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I use an invisible trauma backpack for the same sort of. So obviously you're just piling things in, and it gets to the point where the backpack's so full, that extra little bit that goes in, and
Yeah.
then it just,
What did they say is the straw that broke the camel's back? Isn't that's a
that's it.
saying, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think what you've done is remarkable. And from my own personal journey, listening to you say that obviously the last job that you had to leave because of your injury,
Yeah. Oh,
but
it's a shame.
it's you've turned it into a massive positive. So
Yeah.
you being in a place where you are somebody that is supporting somebody through having left a domestic abuse
Mm.
situation, you are now on a platform where you can help
Yeah.
hundreds and hundreds of women,
Yeah.
um, and men, because I know that
Yeah.
your skills will be able to help
Yeah.
everybody.
Indeed. Yeah.
Tell me about your coaching then, because you've got lots of different programs that you do use, and I've had a look at your website. There's so much information on there, so everybody go and have a little shift over. It's called Transform After Trauma.
That is it. Yes. So actually my business actually does have two arms to it. I don't know if you knew that. It's
No?
obviously because of my accident, my how I wanted to run my business has completely changed obviously at the moment because I'm waiting on a surgery decision. But so at the moment, I'm very much working from my bed office most of the time. So, but I actually also have a corporate arm where I've got a lot of workshops to do with trauma informed practices that I can deliver in schools, businesses, frontline services, and things like that. And then obviously the one-to-one coaching, which eventually I'm hoping to expand to one to many. But obviously at the moment, it's just in its infancy. And I think it's really important to make sure that I give my full attention to just individual women at the moment. But yeah, on my website, I've got a lot of digital resources there. So there's some free things. I'm looking to, I've just recently signed up with an amazing business coach, Brooke Summer Adams. So she is now taking me on a journey now to make this really work. She knows my vision. I've got huge vision. I know where I want to go. And so it's just creating the stepping stones now at the moment, just to sort of get there, get my face out there, get my name out there. Because then I also think it's really important to get my story out there, because I do feel, I'm able to talk about it. It's difficult because my daughter doesn't, it's difficult with her. But I do genuinely believe that women don't feel that they can ever get past their traumas, I want to change that, and I want to change that sort of belief that you don't have to be defined by your trauma. So yeah,
Love
I'm
that.
working on lots of different things at the moment. So to try and get to reach the different levels. Obviously not everybody is able to work one-to-one. So, I'm hoping to sort of bring in different strategies for other people as well.
And it makes it accessible to more
Yeah.
people, basically. Amazing. So if we double back down to
Mm,
the domestic abuse side of it then,
mm,
when somebody has, say, they may not have even had to have gone to like a refuge or anything, if
yeah.
they have left that relationship and
Hmm.
they are in a situation where they listen to the podcast or they come across you on TikTok and they say,
Yeah.
a domestic abuse trauma recovery coach. What can you do to help them basically? What is their first instant call out to you? They're in your
Yeah.
DMs and they say, Steph, I need help.
Okay. So I'm at the moment working through sort of like not a triage, that's not the word I want to use. So maybe we'll think about a different word for that one. But obviously at the moment, I'm not dealing with women that are still in crisis. And I will signpost women to other agencies. But we start with a discovery call where I can really get to see where they are at now, and the sort of things that they're experiencing, where the trauma is affecting their day-to-day life. For instance, it could be if they're finding it difficult with their parenting, for instance. I mean, something that I know that I used to do was flip my lid. Is something that I'm still trying to work on as well, because healing is a journey, not a destination.
Absolutely.
So that quick reaction, that's something that I can work with. It might be, sleeping problems where they go to bed tired, but their mind won't shut off. Issues at work, things like that. So it's any sort of issue that they're finding in their day-to-day life, or they just wake up in the morning and just think, is this it for me now? You know, it's very difficult, because I just feel like when you go through domestic abuse, you're so controlled by somebody else that when you come out of it, you don't know how to sort of live your life again. Does that make
Think for
sense?
yourself type thing.
No, that's it. So it's really trying to, and nothing is done in huge steps either. Everything we do is, I want to do little steps. So it really is seeing where they're at now. And I use a range of strategies. So it could be visualizations, journaling. I've got like workbooks and things and activities that we can work through together. They then have, it's not homework. I don't want to call it homework, but obviously working with me, it isn't just a 1 hour a week. You've got to be committed, because you can't change your life course in 1 hour a week. So we chat to see how much time they're able to sort of give towards their healing journey. And I work with them, with each woman, really. It depends, everything's bespoke. So when I say I've got a program, it's a sort of framework, let's say.
Baseline, yeah,
Yeah.
framework. That's a good word.
Yeah. And that's it. And then it's all through conversation, and then I can map out where I think that, their journey will go. And obviously once they start, if they need longer on a certain area, then that's absolutely fine. And it really does. It's very dynamic, really, what I'm offering. So, and by the end of the 12 weeks, they will have an idea of where they're going. So we're going to work on different areas of their lives, for instance, like relationships. Perhaps they might want to work on money, so they know they've got a direction and then a plan to move forward. So when they finish with me, they will know where they need to go next, sort of thing. So my program's 12 weeks, and
I love
obviously there's
that.
the option to work further.
Yeah.
Um, so
So it's kind
it's
of like a minimum of 12 weeks.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote the program for 12 weeks originally, but obviously, every woman's journey is different. And if that is, they want to continue, then that's a conversation we can have. I do have an idea for a follow-on program, but I've been told focus on one thing. I think my vision's so big and what I
Yeah.
want to do to help, it's really difficult to kind of
I do understand that because that's what I've done with the podcast. I'm doing the podcast. I'm training to be a personal trainer and a mental health exercise coach
Oh, okay. Wow.
for the same reason. I want to help
Yeah,
people that have the podcast is for everybody, but the
yeah,
PT will be for women only because I only want to
yeah,
work one to one
sure.
with
Yeah,
women.
yeah,
But it's the same thing. It's trauma informed.
yeah.
We've been through
That's it.
things in our lives that has led to where we are now. And
Yeah.
I am a firm believer that you don't have this strength to get through what you have gotten through,
Mm.
not to help other people. And I will continue to say that forever
Yeah. Yeah.
until
No,
I.
definitely.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I get that. And 12 weeks is a really good baseline
Mm.
because if you've got an hour a week, that's 12 hours of coaching.
Yeah.
12 hours of coaching is a long time.
Yeah.
And like I know it's not homework, but it's we need to think of a what word it
I know.
is
It's tricky. Yeah.
because it's not homework, but it is you need
No.
to it's personal responsibility, isn't it? So
Yeah.
you cannot put all that onus
No.
onto you, onto Steph
No.
for changing your mindset. You have
No.
to be the one to do it because at the end of the day, it is about regaining your power. It's
Yeah.
about
hundred
regaining
percent.
your sense of self. So,
Identity and and self-trust and self-worth. I mean, making decisions is another one is something I still can't really do that one very much at the moment. And giving up, I was very control freak. I had to control every outcome so I could be prepared. That's something, and that's what I say. After 12 weeks, you're not going to be cured,
mm,
and this is a thing. So, I mean, I was 12 years in the messy middle, living that life before I had my breakdown. And that was in 2017, I think. And so my healing journey really probably started like about 4 years ago. I've got so much more to do, but I feel that what I've achieved so far, absolutely, there are women that I can help and be able for them to start living their life the way they deserve, really, and have ambition as well.
yeah, I love that because in those situations, so much of that is taken away, and so
Yeah,
much
completely.
self worth and self esteem is
Yeah.
ripped from under you that you almost feel like you don't deserve to kind of carry on. Like
No.
I'll just live my beige life, as you called it.
Yeah.
Um,
And also, if you feel guilty for wanting more, you've got safe. So that surely that's enough. You don't what
mhm.
do you deserve to have to start that business you want to do, or to get that promotion at work, or all of these things that your mind just opens up. I mean, I can't believe the things I dream about or what I'm going to do, and I know I'm going to do it now because I've got that sort of the safety in my nervous system to know that I can. I think that's the crux of it, really, is making sure that you can make decisions and take actions based on how your nervous system is feeling. Starting to get that activation, and you can breathe through it. So one of the I never used to be able to open post. That used to be one that I'd bags and
Okay.
bags of unopened post. And now, it's a letter. I've done the work and breathe, and it sounds really silly, but those kind of things are really common. You
Okay.
know.
Can I be cheeky? Can we unpack that a bit then? Because that is
Mm.
quite a specific thing. And there may be people that are like, oh my gosh, that's what I can't do. I can't do
Yeah.
that. So can we unpack that a little bit?
Well, it's obviously the fear of the unknown, isn't it? And obviously, having gone having had the breakdown and losing everything, getting myself into debt, and obviously you get all those threats of those horrible letters and the people on the phone. And really, it was that overthinking, the catastrophizing, making up stories in my own head, that I just got myself into such an absolute spiral of, oh, I can't open any letter because this letter's going to tell me that I'm going to lose my house, or, it's that catastrophizing sort of thoughts. Obviously not every letter is like that. There might be, and that's okay. It's about knowing that you can balance your nervous system, regulate your nervous system, to be able to know that you will be able to cope with these life, situations moving forward. So yeah, it's about doing those little things. So not doing it all at once. So I do one letter, and taking those tiny steps to be able to move forward, really.
I also think it's an interesting concept. So to think about the fact that actually that what was happening sounds very English. That was after you had left the domestic
Yeah.
abuse situation. It wasn't in the crux of it. It wasn't in the midst of
No.
the abuse. It was
Yeah.
after.
Yeah.
And it just shows that how much your body is in that situation, that fight or
Yeah.
flight, that you're so many years after you've left
Yeah.
and your body is still reacting the same way as it would
Yeah.
have done had you have been in that
100%.
situation.
Yeah. I'm a bit of a geek as well. I read everything. And one of the The Body Keeps the Score, Bessel van der Kolk's, of one of the
Mhm.
books in the Peter Levine books. Your body remembers everything that it's gone through. And sometimes, and you don't have control over how that body is going to react. And it's about unpicking. So one thing we do is track the nervous system. So different situations, and how does that feel in your body? Does your heart rate start to rise? Do you start to get like really sweaty, sort of like, I know when I'm feeling a bit nervous. Doing the podcast today, I was a bit, I can feel it, but and it's about making sure that you can have those techniques to hand where you can actually, ground yourself and be able to cope better with those situations. I mean, and the certain things might stay with you longer than others. Like, so loud noises or anything that's around my face still, or a bang, and I overreact. And people say, God, you're overreacting. It's not overreacting, because that's just your body doing its natural thing. And that's something, and like you say, something that's lasted for so many years afterwards as well.
And
You just think, oh well, you're not out, you're out of danger now in theory, but your body thinks it's still in the danger, basically.
I'm like nodding and smiling, not because of the situation, just because I'm exactly the same.
Yeah.
Loud noises.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I made my husband absolutely jump out of his skin. But it's because so we little tiny story. We were driving down the road, obviously at the moment, potholes everywhere.
Oh,
And we went over a pothole, and oh my gosh, it was such a loud like bang.
yeah,
I screamed, and then he
yes,
shouted, and then my kids shouted. I was like, "Oh
yeah.
gosh."
That
And it
sounds
was
very
just a
familiar.
pothole.
That's something, yeah. That would be something I would do. Or if there's a car, we go, "Ah!"
Yeah.
Sort of jumping, and
And I
it's,
still you did this, like, things waving around your face.
yeah,
I literally cannot have, like, even doing that, like, having my hand up
right,
against my face, I
yeah,
can't have the I don't even feel like it's claustrophobic, because I don't mind being in lifts or anything, but
no,
I cannot be restrained, which I think is or blocked off.
yeah,
It just sends me, like, into the worst fight or flight
yeah,
survival mode instinct there is. It's almost like being
sure.
I don't know, like being I like the tiger is there.
I can also attest to your body remembering trauma, because I've also got fibromyalgia, and I've had that since the age of 15. It was diagnosed really in my early 20s. But I know the exact traumatic experience that's left me, and that's now left me. Well, I'm sitting now. I'm wobbling around because it's quite the pains off the scale. So yeah, don't. I'm going to be shown that I'm sitting up, not lying down. My husband will see this and tell me off. Um,
Don't
but
worry, it's
yeah,
not airing for a little while.
that's all right then. Yeah. So the fibromyalgia, obviously, and that's affected my life for years, you know, having these, as soon as you're poorly, you end up with a flare up. If it's cold, you end up with a flare up. And that is all down to trauma, you know, the body. And I've got no control over that at the moment. I'm still convinced I can still work on my trauma and start to unpick it a little bit more.
I believe you. I reckon you
Yeah.
can. I think with all the people, all the kind of people I've been speaking to and stuff,
Mm.
especially now you've got that somatic therapy underneath in your body. I think, especially the fibromyalgia, because it's so trauma
Oh,
related.
yeah.
But that's a whole nother podcast, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I know. I'll come back.
Okay, right. Trauma, fibromyalgia. Right, that's written down. Okay, so I love the concept of being able to help other people.
Mm.
And I think you are, what's the word? Proof? No, I don't mean proof, but you've gone through your domestic abuse
Yes. Yeah.
situation. You have helped other women in domestic
Yeah.
abuse
Yeah.
situations, in their kind of crisis
Yeah.
situations. And I know that we were talking just before we press record that you are having to rebrand because women are coming to you when they're in that
Yes.
situation. And
Yeah.
it's and that's not what you're about. As much as
No,
you can
I
signpost
can't help
a
everybody. That's the thing.
no, and you are only one person.
It's
So
at the moment.
at the moment, yeah.
Yes.
But I think, what would you say to somebody that came to, not came to your inbox, but messaged you in your
Mm.
inbox when they were like they were in crisis? Can you just give some advice as to what they should do in that situation? Because I know that you don't work with them directly. You work with them once they're post that.
No. I mean, what I do, and I have done with women that have come to my inbox, is I do offer some free resources that some of the women are really struggling with their nervous system responses, that, you know, panic attacks and various things like that. And so I do make sure that I do give them something. So I've got free resources for that. Unfortunately, as we know, the mental health in this country is questionable. And I do work, I'm a guest expert on for I think it's almost a charity now, called Butterflies and the Cocoon Group. So that is, the cocoons are for the women that are either still in a relationship or very nearly out, and the butterflies after that, just that sort of like after, I'd say probably within sort of like the 6 months, they're still sort of trying to navigate just setting up their life again. So I can signpost them there, and there's a support group for that. I do, which I'm hopefully going to be starting this month, like a monthly training, like a talk every month. But there's IDFAs in there, and they're getting various different other um experts to come in and support the women. So if there's anybody that needs that extra support, then I can sort of pass them over. And then obviously when they feel ready to sort of, it's about being ready to move on with your life, I think is what I would say to women. You know, you might not know where you want to go, what you want to do. That's absolutely fine. We can unpick that. And you might have those doubts, those, you know, the reservations. Can I do it? I'm not sure. That's exactly what we sort of unpick with our conversation. And then obviously so that's the stage that we're talking about, really, if that makes.
Stuff. For those that have just heard you say IDVA,
Uh-huh.
please I know what one is, but can you just tell me what that acronym stands for?
Sure. It's Independent Domestic Violence Advisor. And there's an ISVA, which is for sexual violence as well.
Okay.
So I think we do have both of those in Butterflies. I'm sure we do. But yeah, it's just those. I mean, obviously I worked with women in crisis, but I was going to mention as well that I've lost my earphone again. Part of my trauma and everything, certain traumas affect your physiology of your brain. And that's one thing I've definitely learned, is that memory, and thinking of words, I find very difficult. And on top of my fibromyalgia as well. So when you've got both of those together, so I'll be quite, and concentration is another one. Um, so obviously I worked with women in crisis. That was my focus, and I put everything. So anything around that I had to block out. So now I've moved on slightly to that stage afterwards. It's sort of trying to that makes sense. Trying to
focus. Yeah,
remember really all of the services and everything else, which is why I signpost. I always
yeah,
make sure that I don't leave women hanging and not knowing where they're going to, where to turn. And I certainly wouldn't. I'm not a therapist, so I don't offer therapeutic work. And and again, if I'd felt that it was any work that I was doing was out of my scope, then I would, you know, forward to
yeah.
refer to different individuals.
I think it's really important for people to know that what if they come to anybody when they're in that
Mm,
domestic abuse situation, that the fact that they've reached out is like the
yeah,
biggest thing, the biggest
100%.
thing.
Yeah,
So in order to then heal from that and start that healing journey, if you're at the forefront of it, then
yeah,
there are things that you can do in order to get out of those situations.
yeah,
Obviously, there's the criminal route, there's
yeah,
the civil route. There's lots of different ways that you can go. But when these ladies are in the messy middle, that
yeah,
is when you come in and
yeah.
because I going back to what you said about the whole
Mm.
brain thing, I've had long COVID now for
Oh my
just over
goodness.
5 years. So
Oh
the
wow.
fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue kind of
You
thing,
get,
I can relate to.
yeah, sure.
Um, and but in my head, there's there's the trauma. So trauma also does that to
Yeah.
you. Then there's the
Yes.
long COVID that does that to you. ADHD, although I'm
Yeah,
undiagnosed, but
that's
that's
another one
also
as
part of
well.
trauma. And then there's also, don't come at me if it's not to do with trauma, people. There is also perimenopause. I'm of an age now
Yeah,
that I'm going to start that.
that's it.
All these things are the same
It's not fair
blinking
for women, is
symptoms,
it?
and it's just
I
like,
know.
which one have I got? Shall I pull it out of a hat?
Yes.
But yeah, so I had to just dive in on
It's
that.
funny you say about the ADHD because my kids are convinced that's something that I do have, and my youngest daughter as well. But I don't like to label things like that. I think there's strategies that we can use, like the memory thing, and making lists and organisation things. Part of my healing journey as well was becoming quite spiritual. So I do have my spiritual rituals in the morning. Really, things that I've found to calm everything, calming, and routine as well. That's hugely making sure, that I get up. I don't have an alarm, so I wake up in, with the sun, and it's trying to just make sure that you can live your life with as least amount of, you know, things that are
Busyness.
going to, yeah, that's it really. So that's been something.
It's almost like living with, so if you were watching a TV program
Mm,
and it had white noise in the background, that
yeah.
that that's the way I can describe it. But I think what's difficult is when you thinking about if I think about those things. So if you're a person that's been through domestic abuse and
Mm.
you're in that situation, you're in the messy middle, but you can't. I don't know how many analogies are going to come up with, but you can't see the wood through the trees,
No, I
and
was
you
going
are
to say
sat.
that. No, no, not at all. And I think certainly, I just ran on autopilot. I'd be up, just trying to get the kids out the door. In fact, one of the funny stories I always say is having had such a stressful morning with my children. I drove my car into a teacher colleague's car in the car park because I was so, you know, and that's before I start the day, and then I had to teach, and it's all of these things that I now know was all trauma related and all down to everything that I was experiencing and trying to pile on more into my day. So I didn't have to stop and deal with what had actually happened because that was what I had no support at all after. Nothing. In fact, coercive control back then was called unreasonable behavior. Can you believe that?
Because it was 2016 that it came in, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So
and
you
that's
wouldn't
it. I mean,
anything.
obviously I had the court case and everything else, and I won, but yeah, it was unreasonable behaviour. I mean, I don't think because of the sheer amount of cases that we've got now that who knows whether it would have ended up in court. Women are waiting so long now to wait for their cases to be heard. It's just prolonging the trauma, and every time they've got to do something about it's re-traumatizing as well. I mean, that when you're in that stage, that's you're not able to then think what I want to do in 5 years' time. You can't,
Yeah.
because it's all about where you are now.
it's the same with actual therapy, isn't it? I know you said earlier that you've done the talking therapy.
Yeah.
Now, in my situation, 2 years ago, I was triggered by my perpetrator dying, and
Yes.
I
I've been
have
there
been
as
on a
well.
wait. Yeah, I've been on a waiting list since then.
Oh
And
my god,
but
2
my
years, gosh.
yeah, but in my mind, it just means that there's that many people waiting, or that many people
Oh,
needing that
yeah.
therapy. Now, ironically, it starts on Monday. Now, what date is it
Okay.
today? So 2nd of March it
I've no idea.
starts.
Right, okay.
And in all honesty, I'm crapping my pants.
Oh,
I have not done talking therapy in a very long time,
okay.
but I know it's something that I need to do. I don't know why my
Yeah.
truth went, but we're just talking about waiting lists. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's really important that when there are coaches like
Yeah.
you and are out there that are able to help people on those next steps, because that's what they are.
Yeah.
They are the next
The
steps.
next
And
steps. Yeah.
I think it's really important that people do reach out, because you can be in a situation where you think that everything is going fine and you are
Oh,
literally
completely. Yeah.
doing it's the beige life that you said, isn't it?
Yeah.
And everyone knows what you mean when you say beige life.
Yeah.
And you're getting up, it's monotonous, and you think,
Yeah.
well, I've taken myself out of that situation, and where I've done that, I'm now safe. But actually, you deserve so much
Oh
more.
god.
You
So much more. Yeah. I'm very,
I
very
can't
manifestation is my thing now, and that's it's been a journey as well. And you know, taught my daughters about it, and they're just the way they talk about life now and about, you know, no, well, it's not I can't do that. It's how am I going to do that? You know, and they're very, very positive about things that will happen, not looking for the, do you know what I mean? And that's something that I would never have been able to even contemplate when I was there. And I don't think it's talked about enough, really, that life can be as good as you want to make it. I think that's the message, really, because you do have to, I mean, the amount of strength it takes to have left and to have got through it all is huge. You know, you're going to have an element of self-worth already from doing that, but it just takes that little bit more. You know, you could be managing perfectly well, but just think about what you could do on top of that. You know, it's aspirational, really. And I think that that's the sort of message I want to get out.
and it's exciting. It's
Yes,
exciting
I know.
knowing that actually this is not it.
No.
Do you know what I mean? That's how I feel. I think, um, no, I am lucky enough not to have been in a DA situation. My husband
Yeah.
is wonderful. We've been together since we were 16,
Oh, wow.
but my childhood was the opposite of that.
Right.
So
Okay.
I completely understand the, oh, well, this is it, like,
Yeah.
whatever. But no, like, we are human beings. We
Yes.
love, we laugh,
Yeah.
and we connect with other people. So that is what it is about. And if
Yeah.
you've been in a domestic abuse situation where you don't feel like you can connect, or you don't feel like
Mm.
you have any more to give, or any more, not even to give, like any more to kind of move forward with, like
No.
that is where you come in. That is what the
Yes. Yeah.
having
That
somebody.
that's it. I mean, I'm married now. I mean, would I have thought back then I'd have ever got married? No. In fact, I found a book the other day, said, that my daughter bought me, why you're still not married yet. And I was like, right, I don't need that one. I'll donate that one. But yeah, met my husband, in 2019 at Christmas, proposed in the February, you know, we're married now. So, I mean, I would never have thought that that was going to be my life at all, you know, and that's the thing, you know. I'm not saying people have to go and get married. That's not what I'm saying at all. But, you know, just to be able to have expanded my life, and now our children are all older, you know, we're looking at like, where do we want to take our life now? It's like, we live in Cornwall. Well, we want to go off and travel and see the world. And, you know, we've got really big plans and things. And I think, you know, that anything's possible, really.
Absolutely.
and I talk about it because I get so excited about wanting to share what what I do to help women, and it would be absolutely amazing to see all the women and where they end up, where they go with their lives and what they want to do. So yes, I'm very
Exactly
privileged
that,
really
which
to
is,
work.
my gosh, it makes me like, really riles me up when I think, oh my gosh, like this person, A, B, or C, can be like, oh my gosh, I've been through this, but look where I am now. And
Yes,
that is the
that's
point,
it.
isn't it?
And I
And
don't want to minimize that where they are now. That's not, that's incredible. But I just want to see them know that they've got so much more,
yeah, like
and
now
for
is
them
the
to
start
find
of your
that
life.
joy.
Yeah,
Yes, that's it. I
absolutely.
call it 2.0 life actually, and that's part of my program. Is it's not, you don't have to find a whole new person. There was nothing wrong with the old person, but you're now on your 2.0 life, your next chapter. This is where you get to choose how you write it, and that's the thing. It's a complete blank page. Write down, one of the activities I do is write 50 things that you want or what you want to do. And that's a
Like a
tricky
bucket
one.
list.
Yeah, in a
50
way,
is a
yeah, and
lot.
it
Yeah.
is a I know, when I first did it, I was like, "Oh, I'll never get to it," but just let your mind wander, and it's something you could do over a couple of days, write down 50 things, and we tick it off. My daughter did the same. She's ticked off loads of hers, and then
Oh, I
it's like,
love that.
wow, yeah, I thought she'd write down she wanted an Audi, a red Audi, and out of the blue she's got had a red Audi. So it's just about letting your mind wander, what's possible, and that's obviously we don't do, that's not going to happen straight away,
When
but
I
it's
will.
aspirational. I know
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
about,
And here are
about
the winning lottery numbers.
yeah, no, I wish. Yeah, I know. I have done it for tomorrow.
No, but I am with you on that. I think my thing's just gone down. Yeah. I am with you on that. I think that we you can draw a line. And when you said you call it 2.0 life,
2.0 life. Yeah.
I said on my post, I think it was yesterday or this morning, whenever it was, that actually for me in the riding the trauma train is about
Yeah.
changing carriages. You're still on the same
Amazing.
train,
Yeah,
but you
sure.
are
Love that.
you are,
Yeah.
I know it's
That's
cool, isn't
perfect
it?
analogy. Yeah, yeah, 100%.
This is why the train thing is like epic. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, Steph, is I am going to draw this to a close. But when I
Okay.
do this, I ask something called
Hmm.
a conductor's question. Back
Oh
to the
my
trains.
goodness, put me on the spot.
Okay, so I need to think about this bit because I haven't actually practiced anything.
Gosh.
If you were to sit next to the Steph that was still in the DA
Oh my
situation,
goodness. Well, that's going to make me,
knowing what you know now, what would you say to her about the messy middle?
God, that's a good one. I think probably that I know you don't think you've got it now, but you absolutely have the strength to do it, because I think I lost all sense of everything. I lost all friends, family, and it was just me. And I just felt completely helpless. I think it would be that even when you think you don't have that strength, you do. It's in there. And I'm one of the, I always say is that there was like a little ember somewhere in me that was just, it hadn't gone out completely, but it was there. And it was just trying to find those things that just started reigniting that spark and get that fire burning inside again. And I think, yeah, that's what I would say. Your ember will become a flame.
I love that. And that is the same for so many other women and men. I do need to keep saying that just
Yes,
because
I
I know that
know.
men listen
And
as well.
that's another thing. I have worked with men, but this is the thing. It's so difficult when you want to help everybody, and I've had
I
to be
know. I'm with you.
really
I'm totally
strict.
with you. Okay, so obviously there has been a lot of talk about domestic abuse and things like that. So
Sure.
I will add lots of resources to the show notes.
Yeah.
If you
Okay.
go to my website, there are lots of
Hmm.
resources on there with regards to like helplines. And with
Yeah.
Steph, I know you've got a lot of resources on your website.
I have. So I've got my two websites. Obviously, you've got the links to that. So I'm partnered with a mental wellbeing company for my workshops, and my little babies transform after trauma. There's lots and lots of resources there. There's a little link to a shop there with some digital resources, some journals and things like that. I've also got my 12-week program. I only take one new client on a month, actually, so that's quite limited at the moment. But that's the 12-week program, and that is Regulate, Reclaim, Rewrite, and everything to do with that one is on my website under one-to-one coaching.
Transform after trauma. You've also got .thementalwellbeingcompany.com.
Yes, that is the mental wellbeing company is my corporate side, and Transform After Trauma is the one-to-one coaching.
One-to-one. Amazing. And what about TikTok? Are you on TikTok or any other socials?
Yeah, I'm on TikTok, predominantly Instagram. I do have a Facebook page. I'm not working so much on Instagram at the moment. I wanted to focus on one place, but yeah, I'm on LinkedIn as well. I think Steph Atkinson Warren, I am on LinkedIn, but I can give you all
I've
of
just
that.
had a look at your TikTok and it is at Transform After Trauma.
That's correct. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up. Again,
Thank
this
you.
to all the listeners, if you have liked this program or you know anyone that is in this situation, then please like and share it with them and share wherever you are listening. Remember, you are not on this journey alone. Take care. Thank you so much for joining me today on Riding the Trauma Train. I'm Lydia and I feel privileged to share this space with you. No matter where you are on this train right now, whether it's in survival mode, slowly finding your feet in recovery, or maybe it's somewhere in between, remember you are not alone in what you're feeling and you do not have to travel this journey by yourself. So if you'd like to continue traveling together, please follow Riding the Trauma Train wherever you're listening so you can join us at the next stop. Until next time, take care.